Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Third Ward Town Hall meeting. Um, I apologize for starting a tad late. You guys know I like to start on time and end on time. I hope everyone had a great day today. We're going to get started. We have 4 items on our town hall agenda today. The first one is the introduction of our new second district commander. He's not so new anymore, but he is new to us, Commander Herbert Williams. So we're going to give him some time to tell us a little bit about himself and about what's going on in the district. Good evening, Commander.
Hello, good evening, Alderwoman, and good evening, everyone. Herbert Williams is my name. I am the new commander, newly promoted commander in the second district. I've been a lieutenant in the second district for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. I was a watch operations lieutenant on the second watch, so I'm very familiar with the district, all of our great assets and some of our trouble spots as well. And being blessed with the promotion to commander roughly 7 weeks ago. It's been a whirlwind, been very, very busy, but I have a great staff. I have great officers that work here, and I've already built a great relationship with a lot of the aldermen and the clergy, as well as a lot of the school administrative staff. So it's been a pretty good transition on that part. I did bring a few stats that I'd like to share with you guys about a few things we're doing in the second district. We really, Chief Hine, who's our chief of patrol, he's done a great job listening to the community and asking what they want and what they need, some things they'd like to see us do perform better at. And one of the main things that the community mentioned was lack of contact with the officers, because a lot of times we're patrolling in vehicles and we'll roll up and we'll handle a job. Sometimes it may not require a face-to-face. So he wanted to institute and bring the bike patrols back into the districts, because some of you all may not know, but probably 5, 6 years ago, we had bikes assigned in every district, not just the central unit bikes that you'll see deployed like to downtown and festivals, things like that. Every district had their own bike unit. And I loved it. I was an FTO at the time, and I wish I could have become part of the bikes, but I couldn't. I was like, I felt like I get to ride around and stay in shape all day. That's a great asset. But what it does allow us to do is approach the citizens of a little more freer and get off that bike and talk to you and knock on doors and things like that. So we've implemented that about 3 weeks ago. So we do have a one bike team. They're about 8 to 10 strong, and we have them deployed as early as 9 o'clock in the morning, and they stay as late as 10 at night, depending on the event and the issues we have them addressing. Even in the weather, even inclement weather, as long as it's safe, they're out there. And what this will allow us to do with the bikes as well is for like small gatherings that we need to have a bigger presence at. We can kind of spread out wide with the bikes, helps with the teen trends, parks, if we got to shut down a park or something for when they're having a festival illegally without a permit or something like that. So the bikes are invaluable. So I'm grateful that Chief Hine has brought those back. And I'm going to be excited to see what reaction we get from our second district citizens on that. Our numbers are down throughout the year, and I know any crime is not good. So even if you say we had, 5 murders last year, but we only had 2 this year, that's good that it's down. But unfortunately, 2 murders is still too many. So what we try to do is we want to decrease to the point where we eliminate. So our murders are down 42% over the last 7-day period, and for the year we're actually down 38%. Our robberies are down 43% year to date. Our burglaries are really down 30%. Our felony thefts are down 27%, and our motor vehicle thefts are down 20%. And that's a huge number because this time last year, our motor vehicle thefts were throughout the city was really, really high. But we've been able to acquire more license plate readers. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with some of our tools we use, but we have some of the patrol cars are equipped with automated license plate readers. We call them ALPRs, and they're cameras that are on the cars. So as we're driving down the street, the cameras take snapshots of the license plates, and anything that comes up stolen, it instantly tells us, and we're able to make that U-turn, call for assist, and at minimal, at least recover that vehicle. So we try to prevent. We have more cars out. We run missions and things like that to try to deter the theft itself. But if we can't get those numbers down as low as we want, I still would like to recover as many vehicles as we can. We do have a lot of success stories that you don't hear about in the news or and maybe in any type of neighborhood newsletters. But recently at our recognition ceremony, we had our annual recognition ceremony where we honor officers for kind of more, I would say, prestigious maybe awards, and a lot of it's for serious things, life-saving awards, awards of valor, things like that. And while I was sitting there listening to some of the narratives on awards, it was very heroic situations that officers were putting themselves in really dangerous situations, which is what we do every day. It's the oath we took to put ourselves in that situation, but they are taking hardened criminals off the street and armed criminals. And some officers were shot at. Some officers have wrestled offenders with guns. And I started to think myself as I'm listening to these stories, I got officers in my district who deal with that and perform that way every day. And sometimes we as supervisors don't do as good a job as we need to recognize that, celebrate them, and then actually put them in for the awards. And so since I've been commander here, one of my main things I do every morning is I have my admin staff give me copies of every case report that was done in our district on the previous day. And I highlight the violent case reports, whether it was a vehicle theft, robberies, aggravated batteries with handguns, things like that. And I've read some phenomenal case reports of my officers doing great work. We've had officers wrestling with armed offenders, and they've shot off rounds. And luckily, none of our officers were injured, but they were able to subdue the offender. I've had cases where I have officers approach a gentleman with one gun. They get him, and as they're searching with him, he's fidgeting around. He tries to get loose to grab his second weapon. So we have officers out here in your district doing great, great work, very dangerous work, and they do it every day. And I just want to make sure you know that I want to celebrate them, and I want to make sure you know that we're committed to the community, and we're committed to trying to make it as safe as we can for you guys. I don't want to talk forever. I could talk all day, so I do want to limit my minutes, but I am available for questions either now or later. But I just wanted to give you just a quick idea of the type of leader I am. I lead by example. I'm out in the streets with my troops. I believe that they need to see me out there. All I know is the South Side. I was born and raised on the South Side. I worked in the 6th District my first 16 years. That's on 78th and Halsted, if you're not familiar with it. I was an FTO for 11 years, so I trained recruits for 11 years before I made sergeant. Made sergeant and went to the 5th District. As you know, that's a very busy, dangerous district as well. I've been in special events for 3.5 years. Those are almost like dog years because I didn't realize how busy it was because we planned every event in the city, from something as small as, Father Joe and his flock wants to have a little bake sale to Lollapalooza, NBA All-Star game. But what it did was it allowed me to really recognize how many resources were out there for the community, for my district, whether we need geofencing to prevent some teen trends, if we need message boards, portable pod cameras, things that I didn't know I could request as an officer or even as a lieutenant. It helped me learn that in special events. And I brought all of that talent with me to the 2nd District as a commander. So like I said, just to let you know, like I said, what type of leader I am. I'm always available, open door. Working with Alderwoman Dowell has been a very helpful and encouraging because she gets me the information that sometimes I wouldn't get because she gets it from her constituents and she shares it with me. So the collaboration so far has been great. Thank you, Alderman. I appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to continuing.
Thank you, Commander. I just want to tell the constituents that if you have a question, please put it in the Q&A. And as you know, I go through every question that is submitted. So, Commander, the first question I have here is that there was a recent shooting out front of Phillips High School that occurred yesterday, as you know. What can you tell us about that? And what can we do to help prevent or reduce the number of shootings near our schools?
Okay, so I can give you some basics on it because obviously it's still an ongoing investigation. So some information I can't share, but what I can share with you is initially it came across as just a 14-year-old that was shot innocently, and then a little preliminary digging. It was supposed to be over an argument over somebody stealing their chain or something, and then we find out that it actually may be stemming from some gang violence. So that's all I can really share at this time. The 14-year-old, he survived. He's in good condition. Nothing major. He was injured in the leg. We had several cars over there yesterday. And then today I met with the principal at Phillips and found out that it was a little carryover, believe it or not. They were threatening a little retaliation at Doolittle Elementary School because it was some relations, it was some family members that they were trying to retaliate on, believe it or not, who were minors. But we got ahead of that because of great intel from the citizens calling tip hotlines and talking to our DIO. So I was able to meet with the principal at Doolittle today as well. And we had cars over there for their arrival and dismissal. And today we had cars at Phillips for arrival and dismissal. And this was a perfect chance for me to use my district bikes again at Phillips. So we had no incidents today, which I'm happy to report. Everything was peaceful. But we're smart enough to know that we still have to give special attention over there for the next few days because just because somebody didn't try to do anything today doesn't mean that tempers have simmered down to where they won't try. So it's on our radar for the next few days. And as long as we keep collaborating with the community, because we're getting some of our tips and information from the citizens. So if any of you guys have ever helped us out, I thank you for it, and I would encourage you to continue.
Right. Thank you for that, Commander. I don't think that we have a lot of shootings near our schools, but the question was that the second question was, what can constituents do to help prevent or reduce the number of shootings near them? I think you mentioned collaboration with your office, letting us know
Yeah, just even calling, like
information.
right, if you hear something, don't think it's too small or minor. Reach out to that school administration or to the police department itself. And then even with some of the groups like Ignite and Activists, they actually help us a lot too. They're kind of ears to the ground. They try not to divulge too much because they're trying to be a buffer between the police department and some of the guys that may be out here doing some things, but they actually are a good resource to calm things down and stop any type of retaliation once something happens. So I would just suggest keep your eyes and ears open and please be strong enough and brave enough to still share that information with us.
And I guess another question would be, are you satisfied with the level of participation at the various CAPS meetings throughout the district?
The ones I've attended, I would say yes. I've probably attended five beat meetings since I was promoted. And I've had great attendance, great questions. Some have been a little fuller than others. Trying to remember we had the meeting over at the optometry clinic right off of Michigan over there. That one was really, really full. Very active, man. When I say active, they were involved. They were asking a lot of questions. They had a lot of info. I don't want to say maybe B232. was a nice one as well. But all of the ones that I've attended so far, I was received well. They seemed excited about the new regime and my goals for the district, and I got great response as far as question answer session. I think was really really good. But it can never be too many, or as they say, enough, because the more people that come out to these things, you really don't understand the power you have by coming to these beat meetings to gather information so you know what's going on around you. And then I've had a couple of ladies I've met, they go to all the beat meetings and they like to share information with the other beats, and especially some that kind of border each other. She made a good point. Can't remember the young lady's name, but she's like, I feel it's important that if my beat stops at 51st and another beat starts at 52nd, but the problem kind of is in 5200 block, I may still need to know about it in the 5100 block because it could easily come over here. And that was an excellent point. So they're all open. All the beat meetings are open to anybody, no matter what beat you live on. So I would encourage you, if you have the time, to attend more than just your beat because you get valuable information.
Thank you, Commander. We just have two more questions for you, and then we'll let you go. One is from, that first one was from Michael Cannon, I believe. The second one is from Kayleen Casey. She says that she loves how you're protecting our kids, but is there anything else the community can do? She is especially concerned with the teen turn-ups or the teen trends. Do you have any plans or resources that you think constituents should look into that might help prevent things from escalating to the point where we need the police?
You know what? That's a really good question, and I wish I had a better answer for you. But the things I can think of is stand in touch with your local schools, like the schools in your neighborhood. Excuse me, because I grew up in Parkway Gardens, right? I grew up on 64th and King Drive in 1974. I went to a Catholic high school on 61st in Indiana called St. Anne's. And I had to walk past Project Building just to get from my project at Parkway Gardens to the school in a Catholic school uniform. And half the time I basically ran the school all the way and ran back. But what my mom did was she just taught me great morals and ethics and responsibilities and respect. And I think in that day and age growing up, it was more families were teaching that to the kids. So you have a small percentage that would still fall by the wayside. And then the police department and the city and the government could do something with that small percentage. We had programs big enough to, hey, we got 20 summer jobs, a program that only offers 20 summer jobs to keep the kids off the street and give them something to do. That would help save that small 10%. Well, unfortunately, these days that 10% is as big as sometimes 40%. So now the city may not have the resources or programs or things to give them some interest to do. Unfortunately, in some of our homes, some of the kids don't have the structure as well. So they may be searching out or reaching out for it. Sometimes they get it in school, sometimes they don't in school programs. So I would say anything you can do at your local parks or schools that can help, whether it's a volunteer or ideas on some programs we can get going to give some of the youth who really aren't, their intent isn't to be bad and be out here, being violent or disruptive. But they say idle mind, idle hands. Sometimes they haven't had anything provided to them or any other options. So they'll just end up hanging with some of their friends. And unfortunately, some of those friends are doing no good things. So if you could volunteer, I would say maybe at your church, schools, or even the park districts. Or if some of you guys have connections yourselves where, hey, I know this organization is willing to donate, books, or they have jobs, summer intern programs, things like that. You'd be surprised how many of you guys really have some help you can offer. So I would say maybe do that.
Thank you, Commander. I would say that you hit the nail on the head on things that people can do, especially even being a mentor to an individual young person, are things that work. The last question, which really isn't for you, it's more for me. was from Aaron Hall regarding the proposed gas station expansion, new car wash, coffee shop on 31st between Indiana and Michigan. That's not on the agenda tonight, Mr. Hall. In fact, this is just a proposal. I am meeting with the landowner, developer, sometime I think next week to discuss this plan. I've received a lot of comments from constituents on this proposed development, and I will be getting back to the community soon about that. Thank you, Commander. Appreciate you, and be safe out there.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Please, guys, reach out to me, stop by, wave at me, say, hey, Commander, hope you're doing well. And I really do have an open door policy. Please, please don't hesitate to call. Thank you, Alderwoman.
Thanks, Commander. The next item on our agenda is a resurfacing project, and it's not just a regular resurfacing project because we're looking at making some improvements. I think over the last few years, I have received a lot of concern and complaints from constituents about the speed at which cars traverse Indiana Avenue and the repeated accidents, crash accidents that occur at locations like 44th Street, 46th Street, 48th Street, and 50th Street. In fact, I have a constituent who lives at 50th and Indiana whose house and gate has been affected at least 3 times over the last year. So we have an opportunity to resurface Indiana, and CDOT is looking at ways to have some traffic calming along Indiana and other kinds of safety improvements. So I'm going to turn it over to Molly Samadi to introduce David Smith, who will give the presentation. Molly?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Molly Samadi. I'm a Deputy Commissioner and Chief Traffic Engineer with CDOT. With me is David Smith, who is the Director of Complete Streets that will deploy various infrastructures for projects that we may deploy, and he's going to present this project. Dave, can you go to the next page? Just to give a little bit of history, I've been involved with the Indiana Avenue. All the women knows that intimately with various issues, safety issues. A little bit of history. As some of you may know, Indiana and its parallel one-way per Michigan Avenue were built before Dan Ryan Expressway project to carry a lot of traffic. And when Dan Ryan rolled out, then most of the traffic shifted to the expressway and leaving these streets with a lot of capacity and not much of a traffic. Right now, Indiana carries about 4,000 cars daily, and translating in hourly volume, it would be like about 400 cars. And imagine that one lane of traffic carries about 750 to 800 cars. Now, because of a lot of space and not much of a volume, we have a lot of speeding issues and dangerous behavior by motorists. And now, since there is opportunity with this project, we are looking at and mandated through the city council to deploy some infrastructure improvements to reduce these crashes. David will get into the presentation with the statistics and everything, but basically what is happening is that because of the wider lanes, people are speeding and not allowing even pedestrians to cross, even at the stop signs. Okay. Dave, you want to proceed with the...
Yeah, thanks, Molly. Thanks, Chairman Dowell, for inviting us and everybody for attending the meeting. As Alderman Dowell and Molly mentioned, speeding on Indiana has been a major concern for a whole bunch of years, and we've done a lot of data collection out on the street to really get a good understanding of exactly how significant this issue is. And at CDOT, our number one priority is keeping people safe, making sure that everybody gets home and to their destination in a way that's safe and efficient and comfortable. When we look at Indiana, what we're seeing is that almost everybody on the street is driving over the speed limit, about 95% of drivers going over 30 miles per hour. But then when you start digging into really the high-end traffic speeds, which are the most dangerous, almost 40% of drivers traveling over 40 miles per hour. And we're seeing speeds regularly that are essentially expressway speeds. And that is a result of what Molly mentioned with not a lot of car traffic, but a whole lot of space out on the roadway. And when we see that on streets across the city, we see incredibly high speeds and a whole lot of traffic crashes, as Alderman Dowell mentioned. We've gone out on the corridor and have done some observations to look at the behaviors between people driving and the most vulnerable users on the street, which is somebody walking. And that could be a resident just getting across the street to their home, or getting from your home to the parked car, or walking to the bus stop or the train station. Over 80% of cars during an observation did not stop for people trying to cross the street within a crosswalk. And when we look at wider streets across the city, we really do see an increase in the likelihood of severe crashes. And on Indiana, between 31st and 55th Street, which is the resurfacing limit, which is a long stretch, and it's going to be really a great improvement, we've seen over 700 traffic crashes in the last 5 years, between 2019 and 2023. And we're in the process right now of working with the Illinois Department of Transportation, who ultimately holds all of the official traffic crash data on getting the 2024 numbers. Obviously, that number is going to increase, but in 5 years, over 700 crashes, over 300 people injured, and a person killed. Just as Commander Williams mentioned, in terms of public safety, one person lost is too many. And we have the same approach and the same philosophy at CDOT. Our goal is for 0 people to be killed in traffic crashes and for everybody to get home safely. And because when we look at who's involved in the traffic crashes, it was very interesting to see that of the drivers who have caused an injury-producing traffic crash on Indiana, 70% don't live anywhere in the surrounding zip codes. So that really speaks to the nature of the street being a residential corridor, people living on the street, but a lot of people driving on the street on Indiana and Michigan, perhaps to avoid the Dan Ryan, or to just use the street to get from one place through the neighborhood as quick as possible. So we've seen 70% of drivers causing injury live outside of the neighborhood. When we start looking at what the street looks like, you guys are familiar with it. There's parking on each side of the street. There's 3 travel lanes. Just to walk across the street, you have to cross 50 feet of pavement and 3 lanes of live traffic. And that is, there's not a whole lot of streets in Chicago where you have that amount of space that you have to cross on a one-way street. And so along with the resurfacing, new pavement, fixing up some curb and gutter where needed, things like that, we're able to incorporate a series of what we would call complete streets changes, where we are really redesigning the street so that it is more balanced for the people using the street. It's a safer and more accessible street for the community. So the proposal includes removing one of the 3 travel lanes to narrow the street a little bit, which will result in and encourage safer speeds and make it easier to walk across the street. Installing what we call curb extensions, which is essentially widening the sidewalk at crosswalks, so that as a pedestrian, just getting to the simple thing of getting across the street is going to be a lot easier. You're going to be a lot more visible and a lot shorter of a distance to cross. North of 35th Street up to 31st, CTA operates the bus on Indiana. So we'll have improved bus stops along that location. And then with the leftover space and the excess space, we're able to create a separated, dedicated space away from the driving lanes for anybody who's riding a bike on Indiana. And just to put a couple of visuals to it, the east side, the easternmost travel lane would be removed. Again, this will help in slowing down speeds and make the street safer. This is an image of the curb extensions that I mentioned, where you have a much shorter distance to cross, you have a safer place to stand, and you're much more visible. These also really help slow down turning motorists. I know that's a big issue that we've talked with Chairman Dowell about at some of those intersections that was mentioned, 50th Street, 48th, 44th, of cars turning from those side streets onto and off of Indiana. So this added concrete element will really help, and we're able to reduce the crossing distance for a pedestrian across Indiana by over 50%. So your exposure to a moving motor vehicle is going to be significantly reduced. North of 35th, this is what a bus bulb is. It's basically an enhanced bus stop. It also helps to shorten the pedestrian crossing distance, improve transit operations. And then with the excess space, what we call a protected bike lane, where you have the bike lane away from traffic and next to the curb on the east side of the street. Here's some graphics, and then I'll wrap up, and I'm happy to answer any questions or clarify anything. But here's a graphic looking at Indiana. This is at 48th Street, one of the intersections that Chairman Dowell mentioned. But you can see the 2 lanes of traffic going northbound. Parking will remain on the east and west side of the street. Various concrete elements to shorten the pedestrian crossing distance and provide refuge space. Reusing the extra space along the east curb for space to safely ride a bicycle. This will essentially, this is what the corridor would look like pretty consistently throughout, from 55th all the way up to 31st Street. Indiana is a very consistent cross-section, very consistent width of street, number of travel lanes, et cetera. So there's a lot of really nice pedestrian benefits. That's really the focus here, is improving the pedestrian environment as much as possible. Slower, safer speeds, and making a street that's comfortable for everybody within the community. Looking north at a couple of quick examples, just north of 35th Street, where the bus does operate. This is an example at 34th of one of these enhanced bus stops, where they also function as a shorter pedestrian crossing and a refuge space. But it's the same thing, implementing curb extensions wherever possible and having concrete elements to make everybody feel safe and protected. And then looking north of 33rd by the College of Optometry, with an improved bus stop, some curb extensions and refuge space, again, to really shorten the crossing distance. So I'll end it there, Alderman, but Molly and I are happy to answer any questions. I will say that in terms of timeline, the resurfacing is scheduled for 2025. We're hoping for a late May start date. And then throughout the process, CDOT and the Alderman's office will be in close contact and providing updates on how the progress is going and schedule. This would not result in the street being fully closed for any amount of time. The street would remain open during construction, and it should be fairly minimal disruption during that time. But Chairman, happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Molly, and thank you, David. We do have some questions in the chat. I just wanted to say before we go to them that this project has also been presented to residents that live north of 35th Street. and the Gap Community Organization was given this presentation as well. So we'll start out with question number 1, which is from Michael Cannon. He wants to know, how did you collect the data supporting the fact that people from outside the neighborhood have the greatest impact on our street safety?
Yes, thank you for the question, Michael. We collect that data through partnership with the police department and the Major Accidents Investigation Unit, who investigates traffic crashes. That's information that we have in partnership with the Chicago Police Department, where addresses are known. Obviously, something like a hit and run crash, where the information of the offending driver isn't known at the time, becomes difficult. But where we have that information, we receive that in partnership with the Chicago Police Department.
Thank you for that. We have a question next from Stephen Burstein. He wants to know, will the bike lanes have physical barriers to protect cyclists from traffic?
Yes, Stephen, they will. There will be concrete curb that separates the bike lane from any vehicular space. And I think that's a very important point, that this will be, really a space that'll be safe and comfortable for anybody to use, and there will be physical protection throughout.
Okay. The next one comes from Kelsey Taylor. He says, great, thank you. As a resident on South Indiana Avenue for 20+ years, and he is a civil engineer, I am for the CDOT recommended proposals. My question is regarding the maintenance program for those flexible, reflective bollards that seem to be more prone to frequent damage.
Yes, thank you for the support and the feedback. So in terms of maintenance, all of these items are maintained by the department. Delineator, we call them delineators, but the white reflective posts, those are maintained by CDOT. They can be reported into 311 if anything is damaged. Frequently, we're in communication with a ward office if there are any issues, or if we see anything, we work to get those replaced. In this case, many of those would be on top of concrete curbs, so they'll be more protected than they would be if they were just within the street. We also are in charge of maintaining the bike space in terms of winter plowing and street sweeping. And so that's something that is very much coordinated between CDOT and Department of Streets and Sanitation.
Thank you for that, David. The next question comes from Paige Baker. She wants to know, does the plan include any new stop signs or traffic signals?
No, that does not include any new traffic control. Everything that's out there will be maintained, but no additional stop signs or traffic signals.
Thank you, Paige. This comes from Christopher Hebron. He says, instead of reducing the traffic lanes, can we just have CPD enforce the traffic speeds, especially if most of the crashes and issues may come from those outside the community? This would have an adverse impact on rush hour commuting in the area. Did you look at rush hour traffic?
Yes, absolutely. Molly mentioned the volume of traffic that's out on the street here. Molly, I don't know if you want to chime in.
I can respond to that. As I mentioned, Indiana has about 4,000 cars daily, which translating into hourly volume is 400. The capacity of a travel lane is about 800 cars. So this is half that volume. So we are very confident that reducing one travel lane to address all of the issues that I have been dealing with over 15 years now, with pedestrian safety, trying to cross the street, and also turning vehicles and speeding, this will address that and make your community better, safer for everybody, for all users.
Thank you. This next question is from Dara Perryman. Wants to know, can we have this presentation emailed to us, or will the recording be made available? The presentation, Dara, will be made available on my Facebook page and on our website. However, if you email us at ward03, and I'll put this in the webinar chat, we will have the presentation emailed to you.
And Chairman, just to add on to
Yes.
that, CDOT will also be posting the presentation on our website. And I can forward that link to your office as well, just so you guys have it. But the website is chicago.gov/complete streets, and we should have this posted by tomorrow.
Thank you for that. Constantine, can you put our Ward 03 email in the chat for me?
Yep, was doing it as you spoke.
Wonderbar. The next question comes from Janine Sims. She says, I'm glad they are doing this project. Michigan has the same issues. Are there any plans regarding a similar plan for the same stretch of Michigan?
Molly, you want to jump in?
Not at this time, but obviously when any project comes through, that we will be doing the same things. We will be doing the same treatments, not exactly maybe like this, but we will be, and Michigan Avenue is, as just when I mentioned, that is Illinois Department of Transportation's jurisdiction. So we will be working with those folks to address any kind of traffic and speeding and safety issues when we deploy another project. But at this time, I don't think that we have a plan. Dave, do you know of anything that?
No, that's correct. There's not a plan right now, but we look and we really identify these opportunities whenever we can. So that's something that's definitely on our mind, as Molly mentioned. It's a little bit different in Michigan. It is under the jurisdiction of the Illinois Department of Transportation, so that it's a little bit of a different process, but we're aware of the similarities between Indiana and Michigan, and we want to pursue opportunities to bring the same type of improvements to that street as well.
Thank you for that. This question comes from Mike Cannon. He wants to know, will those street crossings occurring without stop signs have those large signs warning drivers to allow pedestrian crossing?
Yes. Yeah, we will have the pedestrian crossings will have, we call them pedestrian warning signs. They're large yellow diamond signs. It'll have also high visibility crosswalk markings. So the really thick, big bars that you see downtown and other major streets. We don't have them everywhere on Indiana today, but all of those crosswalks will be highly visible.
Okay, this question comes from Christopher Hebron, who I sense does not like this project. He wants to know how many bike lanes exist between King Drive and State Street. He believes there are enough already, and Chicago's weather does not support additional bike lanes on multiple streets in a 6 to 8 block radius.
So a couple of things. One, the heart and really the driving force behind this project is pedestrian safety, and it's slowing down speeds. Putting in the bike lane allows us to develop a cross section and a new design for the street that minimizes the distance that a pedestrian has to cross the street, and it maximizes our ability to slow down traffic, slow down turns at intersections, and make the street safer for everybody. Now there is a bike lane on King Drive. There is a bike lane on State Street further north, towards 18th Street and Archer and up in that area. But the thing that I'll say too, in terms of bicycling, that's a benefit of this project. Bicycling in Chicago is growing actually faster than any other big city in the United States. In the last 5 years, it's grown 120%. The city's bike share system every year is breaking its own record. So people are riding bikes in every neighborhood. They're doing it for all different types of trip purposes. And we really have a mission as a department, as a city, to make sure that we are taking an equitable approach in the design of our streets and making sure that everybody, no matter how you're getting around, whether you're driving or walking or riding a bike or taking the bus, no matter your age, whether you're a child to a senior, no matter your ability level, if you have a disability or in a wheelchair, if you're pushing a stroller, have a walker, it doesn't matter. Everybody has to get around our city safely and be able to navigate our streets and sidewalks in a way that's comfortable and efficient.
Will you guys, this is from Stephen Burstein, will you guys be expanding a lot of these road improvements further north into the ward?
Well, this project goes up to 31st Street. And then in terms of other projects further north in the ward, I know, Alderman, we've talked about some improvements at like the intersection of State and Archer, where there's been some pedestrian safety issues. We're getting some conversations going around some other streets within the South Loop area around Wabash and 18th Street. So, we look forward to the partnership on, that part of the ward as well.
Thank you for that. Michael Cannon, my wife Joyce wants to know if drivers will have adequate parking spaces on both sides of Indiana for residents.
Yep. They'll be parking on both sides of the street.
Yes.
Okay. And David Zagegi, I hope I pronounced your last name properly, David. If not, I apologize. I've had many near misses on Indiana, so I am in favor of making the streets safer. That's the comment. Anonymous attendee says, not everyone owns a car, and I'm happy that alternative modes of transportation are being supported. Thank you, anonymous attendee. And I think there are no more open questions, Molly and David. So I thank you for taking the time out on, to let us know about this upcoming project. And to any of the residents who have additional questions, feel free to reach out to us and we'll get an answer from the experts here. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. I don't even know how to begin this conversation, but you will recall some years back now, I talked about bringing a grocery store to 39th and State Street. I mentioned in an update some time back that, in addition to COVID, and in addition to not having the kind of support I thought I had from our former mayor, that project did not move forward. There seems to be some movement now, and I wanted to have the developer and landowner come here this evening and give you an update. So I'm going to turn it over to Zeb McLaurin. Zeb?
Hi, Alderman. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So do I have control of the screen?
Yeah, you should be able to share your screen.
Okay.
Brian?
Yeah, he has the share screen ability. If not, I can certainly put the presentation on for him.
Zeb, why don't you let us put the presentation up and you just tell Brian when to change.
Yep, I'll
the
put it up.
screen.
Here we go.
Okay, great. Hi, thank you, Alderman. Good evening, everyone. As the Alderman mentioned, this is regarding the proposed grocer, Pete's Anchor Center at 39th and State Street. If you could go to the next slide, please. And I think everyone knows and understands the orientation here, both the north and south sides of 39th Street at State, from State to the railroad tracks. And this aerial depicts how great public and private transportation in the area might service the site, which makes it ripe for commercial development. And obviously, this is a former part of the site, at least on the north side of Pershing Road. Next slide, please. Is comprised of both CHA-owned land and former CPS land, which was the former Crispus Attucks School at the northwest corner of Pershing and State, with CHA land surrounding it. And McLaurin Development, my firm, owns the land at the southwest corner of Pershing and State as well, and city-owned land surrounding us between Dearborn and Federal on the south side of Pershing Road. Next slide, please. So previous plans we've shown where the Pete's Fresh Market would be on the north side of Pershing Road. As the Alderman made reference to, we have unfortunately experienced a number of delays and obstacles, both with the city and then most recently with CHA, to get the land conveyed in a timely manner. So this site plan actually depicts the Pete's Fresh Market being developed on the south side of Pershing Road on privately owned and city-owned land, and with some of our other development elements that we proposed previously, including the National Society of Black Engineers regional headquarters, STEM Center, and additional residential development on the parcel that was formerly Crispus Attucks School, owned by CPS, being conveyed to the city. The CHA land is blocked out on this plan intentionally because it's yet undetermined what might happen on that site. Given the timeliness of how that land might be conveyed, we decided to move forward with our phase 1 program with the grocery store on the south side of the street, an outlot that might have coffee retail, maybe even a electric vehicle charging center, and additional retail at the south end of the site near the railroad berm at 40th Street. And as I mentioned, the STEM Center and additional retail on the north side of Pershing Road. We're preparing now to, in discussions with the city, to move forward with the zoning for this plan that you see in front of you. And then hopefully the CHA parcel will have a more concrete development plan and schedule in the not too distant future. Next slide, please. And this is a depiction, which we've shown before, of the Pete's Fresh Market grocery store, what it might look like, which is similar to their most recent stores that are being built and under construction in Oak Park, in Tinley Park, in other suburban locations. Their only other nearest location is on the near west side at Madison and Western, which that store is now over 10 years old. But this is a new design format with a lot of glass where it is visible from the street side in the front of the store, service and all of the cargo in the rear of the store hidden from State Street with the back end along Federal Street, and obviously a beautifully designed store. One thing of note, when we originally started talking to Pete's, our discussions were a 50 to 60,000 square foot grocery store, and we're now finalized with a 70,000 square foot grocery store with expanded retail options for the community. And if you've been into a Pete's, you understand and know how large their produce section is, as well as their prepared meal section. So those expanded footprint would hopefully be a good service to the community. Any questions, Alderman?
Yes, I think, Zeb, if you could give us a sense of how your conversations have been going with the city, what are some of the entitlements or needs that you have from the city, and any way that residents can be helpful to you as you move forward.
Yes, thank you. Fortunately, the Department of Planning and Development has been very supportive. Actually, the commissioner and I are touring the site tomorrow so that she can get an understanding of the recent site plan changes that we've outlined here. And excuse me, and it's really about the constituents that you know of who you've committed to a grocery store at this location for
Yeah, they are me, Zeb, that you know.
No, what I'm saying is, fortunately, we have committed to, and obviously we are pushing the ball uphill, but our elected officials at the city level need to know and understand how important this grocery store is and to keep the commitment that has been made for several years now. The mayor and his circle, his fifth floor team, the economic development team, including the deputy mayor for economic development, Kenya Merritt, I think are supportive, but we need to continue to put the pressure on them to make this a reality as soon as possible.
All right, and can you speak to Pete's commitment still to this area is still strong?
Pete's is still very committed, and unfortunately, as I've stated to the city in all of our years of deliberation, unlike Mariano's or Jewel, which are large national or now owned by large national corporations, they are a local family-owned retailer. So their focus and bandwidth to build new stores is limited, as they are here in the Chicago market exclusively, to one store at a time. So since we first introduced this project, they've built and opened 4 additional stores, all in suburban Chicago area. And so, although they are still committed to Bronzeville and committed to this site, every day that goes by pushes that focus and those resources further out on the timeline. So we are discussing a schedule with them now that hopefully will get us through the zoning process the remainder of this year and start construction spring of next year, with a store opening hopefully within 18 months.
All right, thank you. I would ask my constituents if you go to a party and you see the mayor, talk 39th and State. If you have a moment, send an email, send a letter to let Mayor Johnson know that you are you want to see this happen in this part of town. I'm talking about it. It's one of my top 2 priorities. So anything that residents think that they can do to support me on this, I would very much appreciate it. I don't see any Q&A questions for you, Zeb. I
Great.
guess people are like, you know,
Let's stop
they're
talking
from,
about it. Let's just get
yeah,
it done.
let's just get it done. They're from Missouri. Show me, right?
Show me. That's right. Thank you very much.
Wait a minute. I got Karen Shine. I support having another grocery option for our community. My issue is that grocery stores tend to come and go within our communities. How long will they stay? While I can appreciate their status being family-owned, I would rather see community-owned food co-ops.
Very fair question. If you want to lead the fundraising effort to raise about $50 million, which is what it will take to build a community-owned grocery store, to be viable and of the scale and size that we're talking about, let's do it. There are, obviously, you're familiar with the Black-owned grocery store affiliated with the in Forest Park with the Pastor Williams Church. So that is, I'm sorry, not Pastor Williams, his name escapes me, but they bought an existing grocery store with hopes of expansion. Pete's Fresh Market has never closed a store in its history, and that's one of the attributes of being a local purveyor. The reason I think that they are so successful locally is because they can tailor their food offerings, their shelf offerings to the local community. And I think if you've been to one of their stores previously, some of the shelf offerings might vary from neighborhood to neighborhood depending on that constituency. But fortunately, again, this is not a typical national brand. It's not a public company. And so the shareholders are the local family themselves, and obviously they adhere to its local client base.
Thanks, Zeb. She responded that she's working on it.
Okay, great. Let me know when you get to 49 million.
Okay. Well, Zeb, thank you so much
Thank you.
for being with us this evening, and we'll keep people posted maybe a little further on in the year about where we are with this.
Yes.
I'm committed to this project, and I'm committed to working with you on it. We need another grocery store in the community. Thanks.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay, bye. All right. The last item on our agenda is a very interesting project at 47th and Vincennes. I mean, many of you have seen the streetscape going on along 47th Street between Prairie and Cottage Grove, which is shared between the 3rd and the 4th Ward. But we do have another exciting development that is almost ready to pop. And with us is Lee Reed, the developer of this project, and Justin Peterson, who is a assistant commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development. I may have your title wrong, Justin, but Justin handles the South Side planning projects, and they are here to talk about this project. Lee, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Alderman. I want to start off by saying how extremely grateful we are to the hard work you put in to get us a grant to make this project possible. We've been working on this project for a few years now, and we are just about ready to break ground. So kudos to you and the hard work that you've done to help us out with this and to stay the course on our behalf. We really appreciate it. What we have, and I can share my screen. That's okay. Let's see here. Everybody see that?
No.
No?
Might have to call on Brian again, Lee.
Maybe, yes. Why don't we do that?
Brian?
Setting it up right now.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. My name is Lee Reed. I am a developer on the south side of Chicago, in Greater Grand Crossing, an architect.
Excuse me, Lee, before you start. Brian, can you make that bigger? Yes, thank you.
Okay. As I said, I'm an architect. Our office is on the south side of Chicago in Greater Grand Crossing, and we are the developers for the Bronzeville Artist Lofts, which is right next door to this vacant site that we'd like to develop. The Bronzeville Artist Lofts, I think we developed that sometime around 2008 or so. It's got 16 rental units for artists primarily. And this is the extension to that we envisioned a long time ago, which is now we're proposing a mixed-use building, but it'll have for sale condominiums to contribute to community wealth building in the neighborhood. So we are proposing a retail ground floor that will likely be a restaurant, a second floor, and you can jump to the next slide, Brian. Yeah, this is the facility that we're proposing on the corner of 47th and Vincennes. The ground floor will be a restaurant. The second floor would be a small performance venue, comedy club, small jazz, things like that. And then the upper, actually 3 floors. This rendering only shows 2 floors, but there are 3 floors, a total of 5 levels. The top 3 floors will be for sale condominiums, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, private parking, nice amenities in the units. And one of the unique things about this project is the building will be set back off of the corner of 47th and Vincennes. It'll have an engaging outdoor plaza that we can have alfresco dining and even some light performances or activities going on prior to walking into the building. As you can see, there's a lot of glass there. And this building will be what we call a mass timber building. So it'll be constructed out of heavy timber, and the interior will reflect that timber structure. So it will give a very warm and unique presence to the interior, which I have a couple of renderings that'll follow this to show you that. The building is about 36 to 40,000 square feet. And like I said, it's retail ground floor, second floor is performance venue, third, fourth, and fifth floors are condominiums. You can move to the next rendering. This is a shot of the plaza. If you were standing in front of the building looking back onto 47th Street, as you can see, we're creating some soft barriers so that the plaza has a semblance of privacy, but at the same time it's open to allow people to be inside and still have activities in there and not necessarily be directly exposed to the street, but at the same time it's inviting enough where people can walk into the area from the street. So that's a view of the plaza on Vincennes and 47. Next slide, thanks. This is the site plan looking down on the site. To the left, you'll see our Bronzeville Artist Lofts. There's an existing alley there that we would like to work on vacating so that there's a connection, a pedestrian connection between the two spaces. We'll continue to work on that with the city, with the aldermen, et cetera. But it shows, our site shows the garden plaza down at the bottom of the drawing. And then we move into a solar canopy, if you will, at the front of the building. That'll be all glass, and on top of that there'll be a terrace from the second floor, so people can go out and have drinks or you know, just stand out there or sit out there and converse, etc. Okay, next slide. These are just flat two-dimensional elevations of the front and the side. The front, the south elevation on the left is the one that's facing 47th Street. So it's just a flat elevation. And then the east side, which is facing Vincennes, that's what the building will look like on the east. This mass timber building will actually have a metal skin on the exterior, but the interior of it will be all exposed heavy timber. Next slide. Here is one of our artist renditions or renderings of what the restaurant could look like inside. You can see the timbers are shown, the structure is made to be exposed so that you get that warm feeling from the woods that'll be used. And just a nice smooth floor, simple interior design. Next slide. And this is a rendering of what one of the units would look like. You can see you've got glass for the exterior skin. The wood trusses and beams, etc., are throughout the unit. And again, we think it gives a very nice, warm feeling, wood floors for residents to live. And the units are nicely sized. They're around 16 to 1,700 square feet each, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. But they're decently sized units. Next slide. And then finally, this is just a street rendering. The building on the right is the building I've been talking about. The lighter brick, the tan brick building in the middle is the Bronzeville Artist Lofts. And kind of in between there, you can see like a little alleyway that we want to convert to a pedestrian way so that there are no cars running north and south on that alley side. And then we've got some thoughts and designs to the far left for another building that we call Bronzeville Arts and Residences West. But that's another day. I've been told I got to break ground on this one before we can talk about the next one. So I'm looking to do that this year. Okay, that's it for me.
And Justin, can you talk about the city process and where you are and
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Chairwoman and Lee. We, I will say, and hopefully everybody can see my screen. Alderman, or yeah, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, great. So we are very excited about this project. I mean, it's a beautiful building, the materials, the mix of uses. We think this is going to be a great addition and really help jumpstart, building 47th Street out as a vibrant neighborhood center. So just to put that in a little bit of context, this is one of the major projects that we have within this stretch between the Green Line and Cottage Grove. Of course, everybody's probably familiar with the Southside Sanctuary, the great activity space, kind of public plaza that has been built at MLK. Across from that, or just behind that, is a large city-owned site that we're working with the chairwoman and the Department of Family and Social Services to build a senior center with the Public Buildings Commission, as well as some supportive housing. And then we also have just across in the fourth ward, but still on the corridor, we also have Bella Noir, which is a land sale that passed about 1.5 years ago and is close to closing and hopefully breaking ground. That'll be another mixed-use development, as well as, of course, the Northwestern Outpatient Facility on Cottage Grove and Millhouse's proposed retail development as well. And then across the street, another city-owned site that will hope to have mixed-use development. So, we hope that this will fit and perfectly in rebuilding 47th Street as a kind of destination for restaurants, nightlife, and so forth. Just to walk through the zoning a little bit right now, this site is a mix of 3 different zoning districts. The back end, or the north end, being residential. There's a middle portion that's a business district, and then there's a commercial district at the corner. So our recommendation, we've worked with Lee and brought it through the zoning administrator to make a recommendation to zone this to B33. So that's a mixed use designation that allows for both the kind of the uses that Lee is proposing in terms of the restaurant performance space, as well as residential. As Lee had also mentioned, and the chairwoman had championed, this project really started becoming possible with the award of the community development grant for $5 million. The city is also investing $1 million in TIF, and we will be writing down the land. So we're providing a lot of support for this project, and we feel it's certainly worth it. So right now, and then just to kind of end or break down sort of the timeline, as I mentioned, that community development grant was awarded last year. As everybody knows, these corridor sites often have environmental issues, so we've had to work through those over the course of the summer. We received a land sale application. We've been working through those environmental issues. And we're finally, I think, to a point where we're ready to start preparing our packages for the legislative process. So in order for this, the land sale to enable this development to happen, it needs city council approval. And prior to that, it needs to appear at the Community Development Commission, which is a commission that oversees projects that receive major city investment like this. So after Community Development Commission, we would then look to introduce the land sale to city council, hopefully later this summer, and then pass out, and then hopefully Lee can begin construction as soon as the fall or next spring, and we can't wait to see it. That's all I got. Happy to answer any questions from the city side.
Thank you, Justin, and thank you, Lee. We do have some questions in the Q&A. I'll start with Ellen Kennedy. She says, is this development at 47th and Vincennes the project that Eric Williams of Virtue, or is this something different?
This is something different. Eric Williams and Virtue, I believe, and we are part of that, but they are proposing a development on the south side of that corner, which is, I believe we've got an application submitted for that land for a development there, but this is one that's ahead of that.
Right. Yeah, Lee's absolutely right. We are Eric does have a land sale application in, but this is well ahead of that. So that eventually, if that comes, that will complement this development, hopefully.
This is from Michael Cannon. Beautiful development plans. How is our ward faring in the development of low-cost family housing as well?
Alderman,
you want to answer? You can answer that, and I have an answer too. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, as folks probably know, there's been, the Alderman has brought a couple of great projects to 43rd Street, the 43 Green buildings. Those are a mix of affordable rental and market rate rental. They have done very, very well in terms of leasing up both sides of the units, the affordable and the market rate. We are trying to really, frankly, build as much housing as we can because of the housing crisis that so many folks are feeling, but doing so at multiple different levels, right? From everything from ownership to affordable rentals. On the affordable rental side, and this is a longer conversation, but it does take a lot of resources to bring those projects to bear. Resources that the Department of Housing is really more the provider of than the Department of Planning and Development. But because there's basically a limited pool of resources, there's a competitive application process. But when we have good projects to support, we make recommendations and we hope that they get awarded from our colleagues at DOH.
And then to also answer that question, we have approved, and I believe they're in permitting, the Park Boulevard project at 45th and State, which brings part of the Chicago Housing Authority transformation plan, which is a third market rate, a third affordable, and a third public housing. And that's something that I have supported, that has been approved and has all their financing. So that should be coming up out of the ground shortly. I would say in addition to that, we're working. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have the intergenerational village at a little further south, Washington Park.
Right, that's in Washington Park at 53rd and Calumet. That's also been approved and has gone through the city council for a intergenerational housing development for grand families. This is grandmothers raising their grandchildren, and that is an affordable family-oriented housing project. So, my goal is to balance the housing development. We have a community that's about 30% of our housing stock is subsidized. We have a lot of senior housing. We have the CHA transformation plans that are ongoing from Stateway Gardens and Robert Taylor's demolition. In addition, we're working to bring in some market rate homes through the Bronzeville Parade of Homes and other developers that are trying to secure city-owned land. And we have more, I would call it workforce for sale housing that is on the market. In fact, that was to be presented tonight, but we hope to bring that to you at an upcoming town hall meeting. That's going to be in the area of around 42nd Place and Vincennes. And we have two developers that are in line to do some really nice work there to be presented in the future, near future. All right. Steve Burston makes a comment, this development looks great. Are there any concerns about community pushback slowing the development of this project? Hold on a second. Hi, Steve. I don't think so. I mean, I think our community is ready for something to happen along 47th Street. We've been looking at these vacant lots for years. With the redevelopment of the Bronzeville Artist Lofts and this opening of Sanctuary, the Southside Sanctuary, the renovation of the Rosenwall, work that's been done in the 4th Ward, we're beginning to see some life along 47th Street. And I think this is exactly the kind of development that people want to see. They not only want housing, but they want some place to have venues where they can go and get something to eat, have a drink, sit outside. I think our community is ready for that. Anonymous attendee, why did you choose this location, Lee, and will it be affordable?
I think we chose this location way back when we developed the Bronzeville Artist Lofts. Actually, is a vacant lot sitting right next door to us, and it's been like that since we developed the Bronzeville Artist Loft. So it just made sense from our perspective to create an opportunity for some of the artists that were moving into our rental units to build community wealth and have home ownership. And so these units are in that same vein, in that they are, from our perspective, we try to make them units that artists would appreciate. But at the same time, from my perspective, that whole block, we could fill in that block, and that would then allow development or encourage development going east and west from that one block. So that's kind of why we selected it. As far as affordable housing, we want, and this grant will help us try to keep the cost of the condominiums, residences at a relatively affordable rate versus, some of the costs that condos are going for in the area. So this grant will kind of help us make those reasonable, not affordable in the sense of, the affordability guidelines, but affordable purchases is what our goal was. There's only 12 units here. And so we just thought a mix, as Alderman you spoke of affordable units and medium kind of level units and some other market rate units. And our thought was that this was a good site for 12 market rate units.
Thank you. Stephen Burstein, put your question in the chat. This question comes from Markel Bridges. Are there any ongoing conversations with prospective tenants for the commercial space?
Yes. We have one tenant that is partnered with a restaurant group for the restaurant on the ground floor, and another tenant that would basically take over the performing arts venue, the small performing arts venue on the second floor. So we've been in communication and engaged both of those partners some time ago now. And so we're still trying to keep them moving along so that we don't lose them while we go through this process.
Thank you for that. This question's for Christopher. This is a question for me, for Christopher Hebron. Yes, this meeting is being recorded and it will be available for review. It will be on YouTube. It will be on my Facebook page, and it will be on my website as soon as we can get it up. Steve Burstein, I don't see that you put your question in the chat. So hopefully your question was answered. And Lee and Justin, I don't see any other questions for you in the chat. And so I thank you so much for being here this evening. And Lee, I'm looking forward to you breaking ground and creating that beautiful development there. I look forward to speaking in support of it at the Community Development Commission meeting.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chairman.
All right. Thank you. If you have any questions for me that's burning, put them in the chat. I'll stay here for another 10 minutes. If there are any other questions regarding questions in the ward. I think somebody wanted to know, will the street sweeping schedule for Indiana remain the same? And the answer is yes, for the rest of this year. It may change after the resurfacing and the bike lanes are put in, because we have to also account for the bike lanes. But I'm not able to give you definitive information on that, probably towards the end of the year. Okay. Seeing no burning questions in the chat, I want to thank both Brian and Constantine and Robert, George, Lucy, and Yvonne for helping to organize this meeting. Oh, wait a minute, there's two Q&A things here. See what people are. Oh, thank you, Kelsey. Great meeting. Town informative. Thank you, Michael. So I'll turn back the rest of the evening to you all, and I just want to say to all the mothers and grandmothers on the chat and in the meeting this evening, happy Mother's Day. Ellen, I see you have a question. Will you be an advocate in favor of additional TIF funds being released to CPS to support budget deficit? These TIF funds belong to the schools. I would rather release the TIF funds than to have CPS go into taking out a high interest loan. I've been very vocal about that. But obviously both CPS and the city are in some difficult budget time, have significant budget deficits. And we have to look at how those funds would be allocated. What we do need is more support from the state. And I know that this was something that was on the mayor's agenda as he went to the state house this month. I have not heard what the outcome of that would be at this point in time, but as a concept, yes, I'm in favor of additional TIF funds being released to CPS. Do I have an approximate date for the next town hall? I do not at this point, Mr. Joe Duche. You're on the agenda and we'll get it scheduled as soon as we can. McAlfee Searcy says the Southside Sanctuary will be open for this season, this Mother's Day. This will be open from 8 a.m. to sunset daily. And I would encourage everyone to get to 47th and King Drive and get a little bit of a sanctuary and at the Southside Sanctuary. Thank you, McAfee. All right, everyone. Lots of reminders in here. The Bronzeville Farmers Market at 47th and King Drive at the Southside Sanctuary begins July 13th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. running through October. Please get your fresh fruits and vegetables there. All right, everybody. Good night. Thank you.